Yeah, I read it out. So you're back? I am. I'm back for a while.
Well, Sue, they're setting up right there. Welcome to our speaker's corner. Everybody watching. I set it up a little bit earlier because I saw the usual suspects, trams, nutters turning up. We are in the space that they usually like to have, but it's a much better space and we got the permit, so fair's fair. They're not listening to... They're setting up where they want to, trying to intimidate us. It really is an image you could smell. They've turned up with trumpets.
Look at the big oboe thing or whatever it is.
Have you ever been? Were you there when they?
I haven't. This will be there when they have newspapers and lots of tiny things.
I'm going to see what the police are saying.
If we ever stand in their space, we get shut down. But you're also a public nuisance, so isn't that at the moment. Yes. So when they start
everybody's entitled to use the space.
Yeah, but we've got the permit and they're here to intimidate us. This is a different situation.
Yeah,
they come to intimidate us.
So right here, right now, you've got a permit, you go and everything right for that. They're lawfully entitled to be here. Now, this
even
is,
though they're here to intimidate us. So
they're lawfully entitled to be here. It's a public
Are they lawfully
space.
entitled to come and
This
intimidate
is a
us?
public space. Okay.
But what about intimidation? And
Yeah.
where is that?
Right here, right now, nobody has done anything that constitutes any offence.
Does it matter that it's a fear response from us when they're near us because
No, we have to have an objective test over this, and nobody has done anything.
Look at this, guys. So we have the police saying that these people are allowed to come and set up right next to where we have got a legal and legitimate permit to set up.
I can see the instruments and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening. I don't think I've got this phone.
Apparently they're doing nothing wrong by doing this, masked up. They've got flags that they're going to put up. We've been told we're not allowed to put any kind of flags up whatsoever. Yet they have, what's that, a gazebo about to go up? Is it okay that they have a gazebo?
I've told you before, so we'll look after public safety and the council will look after their bylaws.
Okay, so that's allowed.
I don't know what the bylaws are, but the council will enforce the bylaws.
Okay, where's council?
Don't know.
Okay.
You saw him earlier, he came down and spoke to Leah. He came and introduced himself.
And you heard him say that we weren't allowed to put up any of this, and yet here is Senior Sergeant Stuart Reid,
There you go.
saying that this is a completely acceptable and legitimate way for men to come and intimidate women who just want to stand here and talk about women's rights, and the fact that men want to infiltrate our spaces, which you can clearly see is happening right here.
This is a public space.
Trying to intimidate
They're entitled to be
us.
here, they're entitled to be here.
What about when they start making noise?
Nothing has happened here and now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
But you can
give me a
see what
minute,
their
we'll
intention
talk
is.
later.
You don't go around with a.
I think I've been pretty clear
Tuba,
to you.
do
I
you?
think I've been pretty clear to you that they're council bylaws. We don't enforce council bylaws unless council asks for assistance. Okay?
So you're not going to go and talk to them,
I have already.
and this is perfectly fine behaviour.
I don't think you're
From a
listening
group,
to what
but
I'm
this
saying.
this
I'm
group.
not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you.
I'm not
I've already-
arguing. I'm
I've already
asking
told
I'm
you.
asking you a
I've
question.
made it
These men.
blatantly
Listen.
clear.
Can you
No,
please
no,
listen
I've
to
made it
me?
blatantly clear.
But
They
these
haven't
men
committed
turn
any
up
offences.
every time to intimidate
I
us.
understand that. They haven't committed any offences. Okay? If I detect any offences, we'll deal with it. Okay?
Very telling, isn't
Thank
it?
you.
When a man sticks up for transvestites who want to infiltrate women's spaces, and these men seem to have absolutely no issue with that whatsoever. Even men that are paid to protect.
It's really good law because it's like, seriously, they haven't committed offences yet. If they do something, they'll fix it. So you're making up stuff that's not there. You know what I'm saying?
These men turn up every month to
Okay,
intimidate
at the
us.
moment, they
But
committed
why are
no
you just
offence.
skirting over that fact? Why is that just...
We're not skirting over the fact.
You're skirting
So
over the fact that these
if
men
I
do
came
turn up
to you
month after
sometime
month.
and stabbed you in the back, and then I got convicted, and then 6 months later I come up to you and I haven't got a knife in my hand, does that mean I should be arrested for something?
Oh my God, I can't believe you just did that.
Well, it's the same thing.
I can't believe
They
that.
haven't committed an
I can't believe a policeman has just used that as
Well, you're
an analogy.
making up stuff.
That's crazy.
offence. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Did you hear that? Did you hear what he just said?
But they're allowing them to set up very
Everyone watching on this live stream should rewind a couple of minutes and see how that police
But
officer
they
just
just come along with the band.
spoke. What is he wearing?
So what's going on? Are they led to...
They're apparently doing nothing wrong by being here. And they're not leaving there.
So...
Doesn't matter that they turn up every time to intimidate us. Doesn't matter. They've turned up, they've set up right there.
Oh, sorry, PIP. It's a banner, and we're told they're making it.
Let's put our banners up. Let's put our banners up.
Okay.
Should we?
Yes, may as well.
Does anyone think we should put our banners up?
Yes.
We've been told not to.
Yes. Yeah, where are they?
They're in the bag, yeah.
Just like when we protest,
We're going to put our banners up.
So how come they're allowed to do whatever they want?
They can literally turn up, they've done nothing. This is nothing wrong, look. They've got fucking tubers!
And we'll all chip into the fire.
And we have to put up with it. We're expected to put up with this shit.
Are the police going to try and get onto council? Or
Two-tier police.
Why don't we
Once again.
yeah, you got a number? She was looking for one, and she thought she had it. No,
It said that I'm not a public nuisance. Oh, he's pathetic.
And then the other policeman said to me, look, if I stabbed you with that, and then you saw me the next week and I didn't have a knife, would I be arrested? Policeman said that to me. It's on film.
Sorry.
I was like, why is
How old is it?
No, mate, I'll let you pick them up for next week. If not before. No, exactly. There you go.
It is just unbelievable, isn't it? Just unbelievable the way we're treated in comparison to them. So we yeah, you should be here.
But last time we would have been committing a terrible crime if we, what was it, if we
Leaned up out.
oh, yes, put our signs up. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
Why don't we follow rules? It's so funny.
Mind you, they're actually a vested They're actually a vested let them go off the market and because any St. Use
This is what we're subjected to.
Oh my gosh. I just heard him say we are protesting a bunch of right-wing, fascist, racist, something or other.
Those trousers have not been washed in a very long time. Oh God. That's a man. It's a man. Calls himself a lesbian. That man came to see us before his friends arrived. He didn't have much to say then, but he'll probably have a few words for us now. I'm sorry, but look at the dirt on those trousers.
We didn't even have a visitor.
I was hoping.
Yeah, well.
And then you left.
Hi, how you doing? Do you mind if I take a photo of your message?
Please do. Thank you. They're letting them set up everything. I mean, they know their intention is to drown us out. These policemen are letting them set up. Sorry, but the trousers, I can't.
Yep, literally. Sorry.
I can't believe how dirty his trousers are. Like,
Short, my t-shirt. And it's got a gig on the back, that's why I'm standing here backing up the
wonder if the police are going to do anything.
Yes, I know. Except no.
Hey, just hey, good, thank you.
Are we having fun yet?
Hi to everyone who's joined.
What's that? No, you're welcome. Yeah. Wouldn't like to deny you.
so
Where's my son?
Besides me, and I don't even care. Come get you on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, you're actually on to them too? No, I got on.
I think I did. I think
It makes sense.
There are lots of
Sorry, what's your name again? Sandra. Just, 5 seconds over.
the council guy here
Right.
in the cab. Yep.
This is the council man, the elusive council man.
So he said, "Hi, I'm from Brisbane City Council. Who am I speaking to?" Piper.
Hi, Piper. My name's Ray from Brisbane City Council. I've already introduced myself. Now,
Hey, please give us a bit of space. Be reasonable. Be reasonable. Just step back and I'll come and talk to you afterwards. You're antagonising things. You're antagonising things. Just step back and I'll come and talk to you, okay?
I'm
Let the
allowed to
council
see
talk.
what's happening.
You can, from over there. Just move back.
Just move back, please. Come on, we're just trying to solve issues.
I thought this was a public space where anyone could be free to go wherever they wanted.
Just come over here and talk to me. I'll tell you a story.
No, I don't want a story, thanks. Come and tell me.
Come together.
I hope you're all hearing this from this policeman. This John Wilkins is something else now.
Yeah, we just like to avoid, this kind of behaviour where they're coming over and putting videos at us. Can you're not helping here today. Can you please?
We've got a permit to be here. They haven't. What do you mean we're not helping?
We're trying to help. We're trying to help you. So can you help us?
No, you're not trying to help us. We've been asking you questions over there. Your colleague said he didn't want to argue with me when I was asking questions. You said you didn't want to get into it with me over there. I'm standing here filming, seeing what's happening. We're the ones with the legitimate permit. We're not a protest. We just want to talk about our rights. We just want to talk about...
Well, you can, so why don't you
Because
go
these-
into that? Yeah, but we're doing our job right now by trying to let you guys have your peaceful protest over here.
No
When
one
you've got a
wanted to help.
camera up in our face, it is quite intimidating. If you're trying to
Nobody
do your
wanted to
job...
help us earlier.
No,
Nobody
you're just
wanted-
probably not getting the answers that you want, that's all.
Please just go back over there. Stop being silly.
Stop being silly.
Yes.
Stop being silly. Stop being silly.
Is this your friend?
Oh, you're not funny.
Okay. Then
This policeman thinks that I'm the silly one. Not this.
Okay.
Guys,
So you're saying
we're just
there's
not
no way for
giving
us
the
to
right
effectively.
answers that come clear at the front. Okay, it sounds like your friend's asking a lot of questions to police because we're not giving the exact answers she wants to hear. She's not happy with it, which is fine. Okay, we're just doing our job.
This fellow might get a bit more tired before I do.
Please don't go past that. Okay. You're only creating problems. We're trying to solve the
I'm
problems.
the one that's creating problems now. I'm the one that's got the permit to be here. This pile of trash have turned up to try and shut us down. Yeah, I'm the
They
silly
haven't
one.
tried to shut you down.
Yes, they have. Have you ever been in the presence of...
This is my...
I'm not talking to you. Can you stop forcing me to talk to you? I'm trying to get this.
Why wouldn't you want to talk to me? What time are you starting talking today?
Hey, Drew Hutton. Drew Hutton. Hey, Drew Hutton. Oh my God, Drew. If you want to talk about free speech, we're about to get fined for the police for being here. So.
So as you can see, we're trying to help you.
Obviously, if there's an offence committed, then it is different. Right now, they're not doing anything.
Should we start speaking?
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to get good things. How are you?
He's telling us that we're being silly and we're antagonising them.
Can we have some silence? Can we be in the middle?
Well, you look like you're in the middle. I am in the middle. I'm not in the middle of this issue.
Yeah, but
There is no middle ground on this one, I'm afraid.
But this is our
It is easier
so we
if
can
it
speak
was.
wherever we want.
The microphone is pretty mobile. So I reckon we should get
Safety
started.
and children's safety.
Yeah, it's
There's
almost
no
done.
middle
Yep.
ground.
I still can't believe how dirty his trousers are.
How what?
Dirty his trousers are.
Who? Piper?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a hot mess. There's no doubt about that. Something went wrong in his childhood.
Absolutely.
I don't think it's
No, nothing will happen. We're the ones that are being told we're silly.
Well, the council guys said they will be issued with an infringement if they continue.
Right,
And he
okay.
will also require
I
all
wasn't-
the details of everyone who's
free
involved.
speech, you reckon, free speech to stop other people speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, free speech to stop other people speaking.
Yeah.
What's your background, Mr. Hutton? I recognise the face, but I haven't seen you for a long time.
How are you?
Good, how are you? John.
John, no. You didn't arrest me this time.
No.
We should start. We should start. Hello.
All I can do is give you a frame of him being given a ticket.
Yeah.
And you can make one of those old MasterCard memes out of it, or Visa card, you know, tent and turning up this much. Ticket
What, has he been given one?
I believe so. For disturbing the peace or something like that. Fine for disturbing the peace.
Yeah. Where's Sue? Ah, there she is. Okay, I think we're going to start. Just here, but yeah.
No, I led a...
Hold on a moment.
Call them Colton Gas.
Once again, in breach of the Peaceful Assembly Act.
Yeah.
Again, I know, I've just spoken.
So what's the outcome?
Well, the sergeant here has just said, please speak, continue.
Have
And
our-
they'll just
have
get
our
with it.
event. Should we start?
Yeah. Time. We're just going to go
Yeah, okay. Yeah. What? Yeah, okay. That's all right. Yes.
Well, they should be, they know that they've got all these so that they can do it. That's just what it is.
No, we got the power. We take this is our place.
Yeah. Okay, so where are you?
Let's go.
Don't spread out
Let's
too
just
much. So you
get
can't
started and
Yeah.
we'll see how things unfold.
Yeah.
So where's the corner for this? That's Sue.
Yeah, there's
Can you see Sue at the bottom? Oh, that's Sue. Sue, where's the corner? Sorry.
I told you the face. If you could see the world beyond pictures of that French photo, oh, that's it. And all of you who are participating will have to provide their That's what the council says.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2.
Well, they are.
Oh yeah, that's good.
I don't know. Yeah.
Hello. So this one played AFL, and she's had a match.
1 2 1 2 1 2.
The opposing team.
Is that louder? Loud enough?
Actually, it was great. But at one point, she said that was
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Is that loud enough?
And she quit AFL.
Of course it isn't. How could it possibly be loud enough when these morons are pointing their PAs right towards us, but the police are just going to allow it?
Oh, and the sun, oh, marching in. Oh, and the saints go
Hello, hello, hello.
Stand for training.
Hello, hello, hello.
Was marching in. Oh, and the hate goes.
Hello, Brisbane. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being here. These clowns
Angry, dangerous women are trying to attack us. They're attacking the police. They've assaulted the police.
Thank you for being here for our Speaker's Corner, where we have legitimately applied for our permit and got. They have no legitimacy to be here. Just like their ideology, they're completely unwelcome and out of place. Women will speak. My name is Leah, and I am standing here with our group, Women Up Queensland. Our group is dedicated to defending free speech, women's rights, sex-based protections, and the safety. Sorry, can we do anything about this?
No, apparently not. They're untouchable. Keep going. Keep going.
As always, this is an open platform, and anybody who wishes to speak is more than welcome to come and step up. First, I will address the elephants in the room. Each time we gather to speak, a group of insane men, mostly, arrive to disrupt us. They shout, they make noise. These people want to be in your bathrooms, women. These men want to be in our spaces. These men want to be in my daughter's changing rooms. No! They call us bigots because we say that women's spaces are reserved for women. These men who claim to be women, aren't here to engage in discussion. Their actions are about intimidation. Intimidation which the police and the council are more than happy to allow continue. You should all be ashamed of yourselves. They want to control the narrative to prevent us from speaking.
By the way, is that a 12-year-old you've got handing out flyers? Because no one wants to talk to
We
me.
stand here to defend our right to speak in this beautiful country of Australia and to protect our spaces. Australia is lagging behind. Australia needs to wake up. Other countries are realising the massive problems with men like these in our spaces. Women, parents, come over, listen to what we're saying. These men want to intrude on your daughter's spaces. These men believe they can breastfeed babies. The majority of Australians understand that we have to protect our children from these lunatics. The majority of Australians understands that there are sexual predators in the world, most of which are men. It's our parental duty to protect our children from this madness. It's not the majority of Australians who are pushing this rubbish. People, come over, listen to what we're saying. Come and speak out if you want to. It's the politicians and the elites that are pushing this shameful ideology. Thank you. Thank you. Now I can speak. In the United States, policies are reaffirming that there are two sexes, male and female, based on biology. In the UK, a Supreme Court ruling last month clarified that a woman is an adult human female and that sex refers to biological sex. Let's have a cheer for the UK! Woo! Woo! This clarification means that any time a male pervert is seen in a woman's space, women are legally allowed to complain and have him removed. Of course, this was always the law, and women were always entitled to complain about men in women's spaces, and men were always breaking the law by being in them. But the ideology has become so entrenched within every institution that single-sex spaces appear not to exist anymore because some men call themselves trans women. And as Helen Joyce says, we gave them an inch, they took 10,000 miles. In Australia, we're still debating whether men can access women's prisons or compete in our sports under self-identification. This total disconnect from reality is completely unsustainable, which is why there is hope. The ideology's contradictions, claiming men can be women or that children can change sex, are becoming impossible. Things on sex rights show a path forward, and I believe Australia will eventually follow. Truth cannot be suppressed. That is the truth of these men's violence towards women who say no. It is becoming more and more visible to everyday people when you look and see how aggressive these men are when we just want to come out and speak. It is becoming more and more visible, and every voice here who speaks helps bring Australia back into reality, because every person who speaks empowers the next. To those passing by, wondering what this is all about, the blokes in front of us here will say that we're hateful, Nazi, racist TERFs. They will scream at us abuse on the streets and worse because we say no to them. They'll try to intimidate us. We are here to demand the reinstatement of women's rights, our shelters, our sports, and quite frankly, any damn space we wish to be for women only. For women only. Those men trying to drown us out aren't seeking a dialogue, they're trying to erase our voices, but we won't be erased. We're women, mothers, sisters, standing for what's right. That is all. So, join us, speak out. If you're passing by, stop and listen, ask questions, step up to the microphone and share your perspective. The more voices we have, the stronger our message becomes. Australia may be behind, but we're not defeated. The United States and the UK show us that change is coming. Change is inevitable. Thank you.
Okay, what do you do with this?
Just clip it onto your t-shirt.
Declare Joe Mr. Drew Hutton, who was the founder of the Green Party, got kicked out for being a sheephead. Yeah, so it takes 13 whole police officers to come over here. Hey, Mr. Drew Hutton.
40 years ago, I got arrested in that mall. I got arrested in that mall.
Used to be an activist in this city. Once upon a time, I was an activist, and then I learned that you can be bigoted,
publicly,
and it's way
you
more
can't have a
fun.
rally,
And
you
now I
can't have a street
stand up
march,
for
or you'll be arrested.
racist.
I got
Hey,
arrested
Drew,
over
do
20
you know
times.
that
Over
Sue
20
is
times.
violently
In
anti-immigration?
that time,
That Sue is
speaking
violently
up was
anti-immigration.
free
She
speech.
hates Muslims.
That
Most
was
of
a
these
right-wing
people
government.
hate
That was
Muslims.
a right-wing
Did you
government.
know that Leah is an
Now,
anti-vax
who's
conspiracy
the
theorist?
main enemy of free
Hates
speech
Muslims.
in this state?
Did you know
That person there, and people like him, people like you, I'm afraid,
that
and I'm
transgenders
talking
are
to those people who are
pedophiles,
saying
that we are
you
rapists?
are the main
Did you
enemy
know,
of free
Drew
speech
Hutton,
in this
that free
state?
speech does
The
not
main
extend
enemy
until you
of free
violate
speech.
human rights, and these
It
people
is
have
the
violated
right
human rights
of people to
multiple
say
times.
there
Drew
are
Hutton, you are
biological
standing
male
up for
and
people who
biological
violate
female.
human rights.
Yeah, move back. No, move back. That's not what we're here about. It is the right of people to be able to say that. You do not. If you are standing for, hello, if you're waving at me. There was a time you and I would have been exactly on the same side. Exactly on the same side. What's happened in the meantime? What's happened? There has been a major shift in the way that people on the left of the political spectrum have thought about politics. And the main way they have changed is they have stopped thinking about universalism. What's universalism? Universalism is the belief that there is a common... Don't listen to him. Let's have a dialogue. I'm quite happy to hear what you say, but you should be happy to hear what I've got to say.
No, it ain't. It's a big issue, right? It ain't bullshit. It's a big issue.
Now the problem is, you don't believe that. You believe in identity. You believe in identity. Not
really bad. Nasty.
Now I believe that all movements for social reform, even when they're about identity, should be within the context of that universalism, the belief in a common humanity. Who've done that in the past?
Practice humanity now, Drew. Shame on you.
That's queer theory says that. Queer theory says that. And look, you're right. To a certain extent, you're right. There is a degree of hypocrisy about universalism. There is a degree of hypocrisy. No liberal democratic regime is entirely free from hypocrisy. There are oppression. There is exploitation.
So you welcome
but
this to society.
What do you do in the face of that? You do what people like Martin Luther King and Gandhi and people like that have done in the past. You call them out. You say,
stand up, fight back.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Stand up, fight back.
You do. But you do it because you believe in a common humanity. A common humanity. Martin Luther King said, I believe in the American dream.
Stand up, fight
the American dream, not just white people, but the black people as well. What did they achieve? They achieved a huge amount. Black people in the United States have equality. What did the women's movement do in the second wave feminist movement? They fought using rationality and resistance. Rationality, civil discourse, but resistance. And what they got in the end was a system in this country which does not discriminate legally against women. Now, I also believe that an anti-discrimination system should make sure that trans people are not discriminated against either. Of course they should. We're not discriminating against you.
Sorry, wait, just let me have the last.
I beg your pardon, I can't hear you, I'm sorry. No, I completely agree with the anti-discrimination legislation. You shouldn't be discriminated against if you're trans on the basis of employment or housing or education or anything else. But you push it too far. What you're saying is that therefore trans people should be able to occupy women's only spaces that women have fought for decades to achieve. That's just going too far.
In the world. Yeah, that should be men and women's rights. The women's rights are on top of the men's rights and better than all. You have choice in all of it. You don't have to wear hijab and start that.
Fair enough.
What you like this. But I can name you 3 Muslim women that would wear it just so that
this is much nicer, isn't it?
I asked you 3 stances you have on women's rights that are right in Australia and not right.
I want to make 2 real points, actually. The first is about universalism. I tried to make it over there, but it wasn't really the place. Universalism means that you share a common humanity. Now, all the great movements for social reform in the past have done just that. Whether it was for women or for gays and lesbians, or whether it was for black people, or whether it was for disabled people or whatever, they did so saying, we want the same rights as anybody else has. We are part of humanity. And being part of humanity, on an equal footing with everybody else, we deserve the same rights. Now that's the sort of campaign that movements for social reform have employed for the last 2 centuries. And what has it got us? It's abolished slavery. It's abolished all sorts of racist and sexist elements of legislation in all of our democratic countries. It's abolished other forms of discrimination in a way that says we will do this rationally, civilly, and non-violently, but we will resist. We will resist. We will do that within a framework of universalism. The other point I want to make is about biological integrity. Now, I'm a Green. I've been a Green for 45 years. I founded the Green Party. But what motivated me to do that was the notion that this is a finite planet. If you look at where does life exist on this planet? It exists within a very small, what's often called a critical zone. The critical zone is from the top of the vegetative cover to the groundwater. That's where all life exists. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And that life is finite. It is finite and it is fragile. And if you interfere too much with it, you degrade it. And in fact, you can destroy it with wrong-headed development, with depleting natural resources, and with putting too much waste into our natural environment. That undermines biological integrity on this planet. And we've been doing it for a long time now, and unless we change course, then we're in for a very serious time over the next few decades. Now, if it applies to nature, it also applies to human beings. We have to recognise limits. Just as there are limits in nature and the degree to which you can interfere with it, there are limits to human behaviour and the human body, which we have to recognise. We have to recognise that if we demand certain rights, which these people over here are doing, that it's possible that those rights can infringe on the rights of other groups in the community. And if that's the case, then what needs to happen is that those groups need to talk together, not scream and yell at each other and get people sacked and get people expelled and blow on trumpets so that they can't be heard when they try to have a bit of a speak out. There should be a rational and civil discussion that occurs to say, all right, this is what you want, this is what we are concerned about, so how do we resolve all that? That's not what's been happening here. Instead, what's been happening is that governments have been persuaded to pass legislation which, whether they knew it or not at the time, undermines the very aims that they're trying to achieve, which is the satisfaction of all groups in the community and their rights. Now, the rights of women are being undermined by legislation which says if you identify as a certain gender, then you have the rights to enter any women's only spaces. Now, that needs to be challenged. And we're challenging here with a rational and civil and humane discussion and a non-violent one. And we are challenging the people over there to do the same. Now,
We're killing trans children.
well, that's the other point that I want to make. That there is a problem which I think can mostly be resolved on this if there's some good faith on both sides about entering women's only spaces. The other problem though is a bit deeper set than that, and that's what that young woman was just saying then. The medicalisation of young people who are having problems growing up. Now, addressing that by giving them potentially harmful medicines and surgery, radical surgery, which is irreversible, that is not the way forward when a lot of children simply need some support during that period of their lives so that they can work out problems that all children, most children, do have when they're growing up. And they might be same-sex attracted, or they might have autism, or they might have some other problem that they need to work through, but can work through, and can do so quite successfully for the most part, without those other harmful things that the medical establishment and pharmaceutical companies are trying to foist on. Now, so there's only one way to deal with this, and that is the way the women's rights movements and other progressive social movements have done from time immemorial, and that is you do it in a non-violent, rational and civil way. You just put up the rational arguments, you do the research, you make sure that your arguments are right, and you resist. You say, I'm not going, if the police are going to try and arrest us for this, well, we cop it. I've done it in the past, and plenty of people have done it in the past. Martin Luther King did it, Gandhi did it, plenty of women's rights protests have done it in the past. We do it again. But we don't accept the bullying. That's the main thing. We do not accept the bullying. We take it up to them. That's why I walked over there before, because I'm saying, we're not going to back down to you lot. We're not going to let you override us. We're going to stand up to you. We believe in free speech. You don't. You believe in an authoritarian, anti-democratic regime. That's what you're looking for. One that upholds your views, not support a multiplicity of views and a real diversity in the community. What I'm saying is that from now on, we need to say to people, be brave. Be brave. That's all you need. These people, they will go away sooner or later. Don't be bluffed by them. There's nothing to them. I mean, for 2 million years, we've accepted that there's binary sex. For 2 million years, our species has progressed on the basis that reproduction occurs between men and women, biological men and women. It served us for 2 million years. It's a credible view of the world. and to say that therefore it should be wiped out by getting people sacked or expelled or suspended in my case or deplatformed, that's simply anti-democratic, needs to be resisted with a bit of bravery. Thank you.
Okay, who would like to speak next? We'll go women first. Thanks, Drew. And yes, we are part of the resistance. We will not be silenced. We will continue to speak the truth, and they just can't cope. I just want to clarify some things. We support young girls and boys to be themselves, to dress how they like, to play the sports they like, to express themselves however they like. There's no right or wrong way to be a girl or a boy. Some girls are more masculine, some boys are more feminine. True diversity within the sex binary. We also support the rights of people who are same-sex attracted, homosexuals, lesbians. But what we do not support is an ideology which promotes and reinforces sexist gender stereotypes and says, for instance, that a butch lesbian is actually a man or an effeminate gay man is actually a woman. How insane! Or a tomboy is actually a boy who must have her puberty blocked, her breasts removed, and take life-altering drugs to mimic the opposite sex. Or a boy who prefers pink and playing with dolls. Oh, he's actually a girl, and he must be stopped from developing secondary sex characteristics by harmful experimental drugs, tuck his penis away, and take hormones to grow breasts. That is child abuse. We support women's human rights to have spaces, services and sports free of all males. Allowing men to access these spaces, so women's bathrooms, women's change rooms, women's rape crisis shelters, domestic violence refuges, women's prisons, is a violation of women's human rights. Those men over there have no problem violating women's rights, and we do not support men having rights that women fought for. It's already been a huge year in the fight to restore women's sex-based rights globally. As Leah mentioned, in January, the Trump administration signed the executive order titled Defending Women from Gender Ideology Extremism and Restoring Biological Truth to the federal government, overturning all the crap that the Biden-era policies brought in. Sex now shall refer to an individual's immutable biological classification as either male or female. The US issued its first passport with an X gender designation back in 2021 under Biden. Australia first introduced the X marker for passports all the way back in 2011. And other more recent legislation now allows men to falsify their birth certificate to state female. Obviously, there are huge safeguarding issues that were completely ignored with allowing men to falsify ID documents to say female. To quote the Department of Home Security, there are only two sexes, male and female. President Trump promised the American people a revolution of common sense that includes making sure that the policy of the US government agrees with simple biological reality. Management of our immigration system is a matter of national security, not a place to promote and coddle an ideology that permanently harms children and robs real women of their dignity, safety and well-being. Another order came in February, which was specifically regarding males unfairly competing in the women's sports category. And despite the rhetoric, we all know that this doesn't mean anyone is banned from playing sport. Everyone can play sport in the category matching their biological sex. This ensures a fair and level playing field. Categories maximise inclusion. Then more recently, at the start of April, there was the landmark win in the UK Supreme Court where the definition of woman was clarified. The UK's top court says the legal definition of woman refers to biological sex. So it does not include men who think they're women, even if they have a piece of paper that says the same. The decision confirms that single-sex services for women, such as refuges, hospital wards and sports, can exclude men pretending to be women, and it clears up any legal ambiguity. And of course, men like those over there in London turned out to protest the decision by urinating in public, like any woman would do. The Supreme Court win was such a huge achievement for Women Scotland. The group of women who brought the case against the Scottish Government, and we applaud them. As Susan Smith, co-director of For Women Scot, said, it's common sense, basic common sense. And the fact that we've been down a rabbit hole where people have tried to deny science and reality, and hopefully this will now see us back to reality. We're so happy for our sisters on Turf Island, and we cannot wait to follow them back to reality and sanity in the hopefully not too distant future. Just quickly, here in Australia, we now look forward to August when Sal Grover will be again back in court defending women's sex-based rights here. Sal's life was thrown into turmoil for 3 years and counting thanks to a litigious, delusional man who goes by the name of Roxy Tickle, and he plays hockey against teenage girls and also thinks it's okay to use their dressing sheds. Sal's just one of many examples of women on the front line being punished for refusing to pretend that men are women, for refusing to participate in their delusion, for refusing to participate in their fetish. And I'll leave it with a quote from Sal's awesome legal team. As we move forward with our appeal, we emphasise that women standing up for sex-based rights, including the right to single-sex spaces, are acting in defence of fairness, honesty and legal clarity. This is not an act of exclusion or bigotry. It is a necessary assertion of women's rights in law and policy. Discussions around gender identity must not come at the expense of the safety, dignity and autonomy of women and lesbians, nor should they impose an ideological framework that compels the redefinition of sex-based protections. Keep speaking the truth. Don't give up on the truth.
Thanks, Leah. I wasn't planning on speaking today, but it was really striking that the noise started up the minute a woman speaker took the microphone, after giving Drew some reprieves at different times anyway. I just wanted to point out that our lefty radicals, and I've always identified as a lefty radical, I just don't identify with these authoritarian refusers of free speech and democratic rights. But they think they're being brave. But as having accompanied Drew through that free speech campaign in the mall, they are doing exactly what their corporate overlords want them to do. That trick was used against us in the mall. We would go down there to speak and the business community would just put up the microphones so that we couldn't hear and interact with other people. So it's really quite disappointing, but it's typical of bullies, which was, as Drew pointed out, they are bullies. And the most obvious point about the whole queer movement is that it is about bullying. It's perfected the art of bullying. They say trans women have a problem and that they are constantly assaulted and beaten up by men, so we have to be kind to them. So we all said, yes, fair enough, but nobody took on the men. Nobody said, let's stop that male violence. No, they said, we'll just make women move over. And then they said, oh, but you can't put trans women in a men's prison. They get beaten up and assaulted. So they didn't say, well, let's reform our prisons so that other men who aren't trans also don't get beaten up and raped. They said, no, put them into women's prisons, where, of course, there have been several assaults of women prisoners. So the female prisoners get done over yet again. So it's always the way that these people will not identify, it just drives me insane, the way they will not see the oppression that they continue to perpetuate and the way they so aggressively assert men's voices. And it's been really striking. Long before I became aware of the problem that the growing trans movement was building, I have female friends who have become trans men. And it is always striking to me that they are never here. They do not share the aggression of the trans women. And that's really striking, that they do not seek to oppress me as a woman. They have always been respectful. I have worked alongside them and that there's a very clear pattern that nobody ever wants to talk about. So, and the only other thing I wanted to add to Drew's point about we will continue to fight for democratic rights and for freedom of speech, and that I've now forgotten because of the distraction, which is what they did to you earlier, that they take cause cancer. So we have to be resolute. We have to proceed on the basis of love and respect. And that will win over bullying and aggression every time. And it never ceases to amaze me that the authoritarian left has had a century of practice at this authoritarian leftism, and it always loses out in the long run.
Every person global. These people are so lonely from their hatred.
Hi everyone, before I start, I've just got a message for the girls that are in that group over there, and by girls I mean the real women. The suffragettes would be rolling in their graves right now if they saw the number of handmaidens to the patriarchy that are over there fighting for men's rights, because you are a men's rights movement. And just so you know, when the suffragettes were protesting for your right to go to university, there were women that also fought against those suffragettes. And the reason those women fought against the suffragettes is because they upheld the stereotypes for women of the time. And you are also upholding stereotypes of what you believe a woman and a man to be. Anyway, that's separate to what I wanted to say. So everyone, my name is Liz, and I'm here today to support and defend the women and girls of our community. I'm here to say that the sex-based rights of women and girls matter, and to show that we will not be intimidated into silence. The flyer that went out to protest our event here today spoke about the need to come down and drown out the sounds of hatred. For those of you that have come here on that basis, I have to tell you, you have been deceived. There are two groups here today, and one is most certainly filled with hate, misogyny, and homophobia. And that, my friends, is not us. I will explain to you exactly what we stand for, so you can make an informed decision as to the side you want to stand on, because you do need to pick a side. When it comes to gender ideology, if you want to stand on the side of people who fight for women's rights, then you cannot support a sexist ideology that says stereotypes or feelings are what make you a woman or a man. We are here to say we do not want trans-identifying men in women-only bathrooms and change rooms. Even if some women say they don't care, they do not speak for us. We want an end to male athletes who say they are women competing in women's sport. Whether these men come first or last, or are competing in a rural D-grade community event, it makes no difference. Stay out of our women's sporting teams and events. We are sick of being told that middle-aged men who abandon their families, change their pronouns, and put on a dress are stunning and brave women. This is insulting to all women. We reject the notion that you can be a lesbian trapped in a man's body. We are here to support our lesbian sisters who are continually forced by law to allow men into their events and spaces. We abhor the people who facilitate a child's journey through unnecessary and permanent surgical procedures, and who commit children to a lifetime of pharmaceutical dependency because they believe that these children have been born in the wrong body. We protest trans-identifying men who are incarcerated in women's prisons. Many of these women who have ended up in prison have already experienced a life filled with violence and abuse at the hands of men. And they're now trapped in cells with violent and mentally unstable men. We point the finger at companies like Pfizer and AbbVie who make billions of dollars a year from selling puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones. We know that the promotion of this ideology in hospitals and the community is all about making huge sums of money and nothing about inclusivity. So we are not about hate. We come here to speak for the women and girls who are vulnerable and who are too afraid to speak. We are the voice for the women who must remain silent to protect sporting scholarships and hard-fought-for work promotions. We are here as the voice for all people who believe that sex-based rights matter and that biological sex is not a concept to be overridden by feelings, mental health disorders and fetishes. There is hatred in this space though, but that comes from the trans activists. The police are not here because they are worried about us, a bunch of mainly middle-aged men and women who are fighting for the rights and safety of our little girls. Look which way the police are facing, guys. The police are here for the group that consistently and regularly calls for violence against anyone that dares talk about women's sex-based rights. We've all seen the placards held by these groups. I was going to read some of them out, but they are too vile and abusive to say publicly. That group is filled with rage and hatred. Hatred that is primarily directed at women. But please know this. Most of us here are parents who have faced down many rage-filled tantrums by irrational, angry toddlers. So we will not be intimidated or pressured into silence by this juvenile rabble. Until the sex-based rights of women and girls in this country are returned, we will keep turning up and speaking out for the women of this country. So thank you for coming and see you next time.
I just want to say, as one of the organisers of this event, we have to jump through many legal hoops to be able to speak. We tried to attach a banner to that railing last month and we were told if we did that we would be fined. Look around at this mob, the crazy mob, and what they get away with. That is two-tier policing. They break local and state laws all the time. They know they're untouchable. But times will change because we will not put up with that. And we will continue to grow in numbers when people feel safer to come out and speak, because that is the problem, is that idiots like Daniel, go and grow, well you are growing a pair, aren't you, an extra pair, you dickhead. Anyway, I'll pass it over to Ron. Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, hi, I'm long-term local from Brisbane. I'm getting older, so I've been around a bit and I've seen a bit. I speak now from scientific research. I challenge any doctor, any medical expert, and these people across the other side, to prove to me that there is more than two physical genders. It's physically impossible, and anything else, surgery or alteration, is mutation and is mutant. And frankly, I do not approve of mutating humans to look like something else. Fact is, there are men and there are women, and that's all. Now, it has been proven by leading psychological experts, but the problem is psychological. They look in the mirror, they see a male, they think up here, hey, I'm a female. Therefore, I must be a female. I better go and tell everybody that I'm female and I want equal rights. These men are walking into these kids' toilets, into your change rooms, and into things, and pretending they're females and looking at all your daughters and wives. Okay? I do not approve, and I will never approve. There is only two genders and two genders only. Psychologically, it's been proven that this is a psychological problem, and the biggest problem is we deny them psychological help to get over their problem. They don't need equal rights. They need to go and see a psychiatrist and figure out what the hell their problem is. Okay? Their problem is up here, and they need to address it and stop pretending to be something they're not. So, I'll be brief, but that's what I believe.
Who else would like to speak? Is there anyone else? Yes.
It's always funny.
Hello. All the many things morally wrong about gender identity ideology, two of the least remarked upon are how it is contaminating the discipline of medicine with the attitudes of consumerism, and how it is the left that is promoting these consumerist priorities, making a commodity of a noble and public service. We can see this in the disgusting reactions to detransitioners, telling them off for being dissatisfied with something they previously obsessed about getting, even where they wanted it in this case, impossible. And worse, to saddle them with lifelong disabilities and mental outcomes. The attitude of caveat emptor, buyer beware, properly applies to cosmetic surgery, not to medically necessary, well-evidenced, life-saving care by professionals committed to doing no harm. So if caveat emptor applies to so-called gender-affirming care, then it is cosmetic surgery for cashed-up adults only, not to be subsidised or performed by the state, not a civil right, not a part of the school curriculum, not an answer to adolescent psychological issues, not an issue between teacher and student, not an imposition on co-workers or sporting competitors, and not a reason to overturn laws or to upend the language we use to understand and communicate reality. Gender identity ideology is left neoliberalism, hyper-individualist, asserts selfish fulfillment as the highest good, destabilises what is settled and what is pro-social, abandons seeking collective solutions, catastrophises the present, demonises the past, and ignores all real progress won while inventing new ways to divide, control, and fire workers. And like the Chicago School Economics and their fake identity Homo economicus, it is all inspired by reductive ideas ripened in the American Academy and weaponized in the American Party contest and class war. Transgender rights activists preen and strut about being anti-imperialist while spreading American culture and American culture wars here. We know from WPATH's own records that much of so-called gender-affirming care is designed to game the American for-profit healthcare system. And here you are, spreading this Americanism to the superior Australian public healthcare system. You activists for privileges for men with synthetic sex identities. You campaigners for paediatric sex lobotomies. You are expanding the boundaries of for-profit exploitation. You are promoting more alienation and more commodification. You are promoting heedless, unsustainable interventions into complex nature. You are the steel cap in the left boot of neoliberalism, and you're all too stupid to realise it.
Oh my god. Normal. Totally normal.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Kathy. Yes.
I wasn't going to speak because so much of what I planned to say here had already been said very well. But I've been convinced that a little repetition isn't a bad thing.
So I'm going to start with a quote that I saw on social media from Lexical Lives, How Language is Undermining Self-Based Rights, Sex-Based Rights. And it was by the original woman in WordPress.com. Language is not a neutral tool. It is the framework through which we interpret reality, define rights, shape public consciousness. When we lose precision in language, we lose the ability to clearly defend boundaries, especially those vital to safeguarding vulnerable groups. The word woman has a specific meaning rooted in biological reality, and its erosion is a strategic dismantling of the linguistic foundations which sex-based protections stand on. To confuse, distort, or soften the word to accommodate ideological demands is to rob women of clarity, dignity, and power. Words matter, because without them, truth becomes negotiable. And I'd add to that, allowing truth to be sacrificed. This applies so well to recent legal cases. In the UK, a group of women called For Women Scotland fought hard at all levels of law for several years to rescue the word woman and its precise meaning for sex-based reality, for the truth of biological materiality, to clearly define boundaries and to defend stolen rights, which had been obscured by gender ideology, with its threats to the rights of women and girls to safety, dignity, privacy, fairness, and respect. They persevered in seeking to have the legal system recognise that the Equality Act in England, like our discrimination acts in Australia, used the word sex to mean biological sex, and to acknowledge that the term gender identity had different meaning and was separately protected. Upon their appeal to the Supreme Court, they won that case this year. The court ruled that sex always meant biological sex. Now the hard work begins against the inevitable ideological pushback seeking to misrepresent this decision in a myriad of ways. However, the law is clear, as many of us always knew. The women in the UK now have the ability to continue their advocacy for institutional reinstatement of their rights. This was a much celebrated win by women here too. In Australia, the same struggle is ongoing to rescue the meaning of sex in the Sex Discrimination Act. The legal context here is somewhat different because our Sex Discrimination Act was changed in 2013 by the Gillard government to introduce gender identity as a protected category, and in the process, it distorted the definition of sex and the meaning of women. In addition, Australian states have introduced legislation allowing anyone to identify as a member of the opposite sex and to legally be recognised as such. The UK does not have what we call gender self-ID in legislation. They don't need to deal with that. Here, there has been more conflation of sex and gender identity in law, and definitions of women and men can include those who simply so identify. Women were not considered to be stakeholders in this decision-making. We in Australia can be grateful to the amazing Sal Grover who was seeking to offer women a safe and supportive networking app called Giggle for Girls, only for women. For all the reasons most women don't need to explain to each other. Unfortunately, it was necessary for it to be explained to a man identifying as a woman called Roxanne Tickle, who was denied access to the app via AI facial recognition and later manually as a male. Tickle challenged the decision and the claim of indirect discrimination succeeded, with Sal having to pay damages of $10,000 and costs, and the judge stating that sex is changeable. Let's not forget that the Sex Discrimination Commissioner, Dr. Anna Cody, provided an amicus brief and assisted in interpreting the Act to this end. This has become clear. Oh, sorry, I can't read my writing. This has become That ruling has been appealed by Giggle, contending that it misinterprets the fundamental rights of women and girls and undermines the legal protections for single-sex spaces that are essential for their safety, dignity and freedom of association. That's become most clear in the redefinition of lesbians to include men who identify as women, and this represents the erasure of lesbian rights. The critical legal question now is how should the Sex Discrimination Act be interpreted to uphold sex-based rights, which women have never ceded, while addressing gender identity claims. And I've grossly oversimplified Sal's case there. So the question of the meaning of sex is at the foundation of Sal's case. She needs help with her appeal, with funding her case. We all have an interest in this. Go to gigglecrowdfund.com to find out more, to donate if you can. This really matters because, as the article I've quoted stated, a person's sex is not courtesy or right built upon it. We must reclaim our language right built upon it. We must reclaim our language before we lose the ground it holds. Let's support Sal Grover as she struggles to hold that ground for all of us. Is there anyone else that would like to speak?
I'll have a go, Sue. Good morning, Brisbane. Thank you for coming. I'm all the way down here from Townsville and had no idea I'd be getting up to speak, but I just wanted to say, I don't identify, I am. I'm so grateful that I was born in a Generation X, where my parents didn't care that I didn't like frilly dresses, that I ran around in shorts and a t-shirt, climbed trees, drove tractors, and helped my dad on the farm. They didn't care, and it was a great childhood to live. During school, I had so many opportunities in sport, and that is why I began fighting in this madness. Because the opportunities that I gained through sport at school led me to leadership roles in work and in my community. And those rights and opportunities are being taken from young girls and women today. There's so many things that are wrong with this. Denial of homosexuality, denial of women's sex-based rights, denial in the freedom of association, and
She just said homosexuality is wrong.
no, I didn't. Listen, mate, I said homosexuality doesn't exist in a world that gender identity is. Anyway, I'm so grateful to be here in Brisbane, but I'm bloody looking forward to getting home tonight. Thanks, everyone.
Gender ideology is completely and utterly homophobic. We all know that.
Thank you for coming, everyone. I just want to say how much it upsets me and hurts me to watch teenage girls who have been abused and who have mental health issues being told that they can fix their problems by cutting their tits off. It makes me really fucking mad. These girls are trying to get out of abuse by trying to turn themselves into men. They're not men, and they will never be seen as men, no matter what they do. They will always be the victim of sex-based abuse because they're women. And it makes me really sad that they can't see that you're not going to save yourself. You will always be a woman, and because of that, you'll always be the victim of women's sex-based abuse. So you need to join the right side of history, and you need to start being a feminist and being proud of being a woman. That's all I have to say.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to speak? Yes? It's going to be short and sweet. Okay, that's fine.
I'm terrible at public speaking. I'll just say, only the most pathetic of men want to compete against females in sports. Adult trans people are nothing but predators and narcissists and people with mental health issues. And the children that are being put on puberty blockers and artificial opposite sex hormones are victims of terrible parents, big pharma, and terrible doctors that deserve to lose their medical license.
Anyone else that would like to speak? Not you. Not you. Lots. Daniel, what about you? I'm sure they're ashamed of you. But I'm just going to make this short. I just want to say we're not going anywhere. Not Daniel, nor any other man. No matter how emphatically he tells us to shut up, you'll never succeed in muting us. Shocking, I know, that women still have opinions and the nerve to voice them. And let's not forget that brief, blissful window before the election when the harassment mysteriously stopped. Because the radical left couldn't afford their PR nightmare of men in dresses with But no worries, like we thought they would be, they're back in full swing. Performative rage, violent threats, the mask slips when no one's polling. But make no mistake, we're not here for theatrics. We're here because we remember where this fight began. The suffragettes didn't chain themselves to railings, go on hunger strikes or risk their lives for us, not you, man, bigotry. They stood for dignity, for truth, and for the rights of women to have a voice and control over their own bodies. They built the foundation for our rights, brick by hard-won brick, and we will not stand by while that foundation is torn down in the name of ideology. An ideology that has given men a higher legal status in law as women than what women now have. We owe it to them and to every woman who came before us not to be silent. We are not going anywhere until the rights those women fought for and bled for are fully reinstated, not redefined, not erased, reinstated. No amount of online smears, shouted slogans or men in dresses demanding obedience will intimidate us into submission. This is not hatred, it's resistance, a legacy, and it's necessary. We're not going anywhere. Our numbers will increase and we will defeat you. If no one else wants to speak, I'll hand it over to Leah to do the closing. Oh, that's not working.
Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you everybody who's looking on, passing by and listening to what we're saying as well. And hopefully next time you can come up and speak. And yeah, just follow us at Women Up Queensland, and we will be here next month as well to do the same. And thank you for being here. Thank you.
So cool. Next time, when he was down over there.